In this lesson, we're going to talk about synthetic division, which is essentially a shortcut for dividing polynomials that can only be used when the divisor is linear and has a leading coefficient of 1. Before we get into that, let's talk first about what it means to be a factor. So I'm curious for you to tell me if x minus 3 is a factor of 2x cubed minus 13x minus 15 and how you know that it is or isn't. So pause the video, give it a shot, and then resume and we'll see the results. So in order for x minus 3 to be a factor, it must divide evenly into 2x cubed minus 13x minus 15, which means no remainder. So let's do the long division and see how that turns out. So I'm going to put dividend inside the box. Oops, almost forgot placeholder for the x squared. All right, and away we go. Multiply. Subtract. And that's 6x, and we multiply. And then subtract. And we see that goes in 5 times, and we multiply, then subtract, remainder of 0. So this is indeed a factor. Now what I'd like you to pay particular attention to is notice that this coefficient matches that coefficient. Notice also that this number matches that coefficient. And finally, this number matches that coefficient, which is going to kind of come in handy when we're doing synthetic division. It kind of explain why it works. So in synthetic division, we kind of turn things upside down. So we turn our box upside down. We write the coefficients of the dividend in the top of the box. And notice we're taking out the variables, just the coefficients. And then a divisor goes outside, and again we take away the variable and we write the opposite. So since it's x minus 3, we actually write a positive 3. Now, remember that I said that our quotient, 2x squared plus 6x plus 5, the first coefficient was a 2. Well, consequently, we're just going to bring that 2 down. That'll happen every time because we're only dividing by x, right? So 2x cubed divided by x gives you 2x squared. 7x to the 5th divided by x gives you 7x to the 4th. So that coefficient will always match because we're just dividing by x, which has a coefficient of 1. Now, much like when I do long division, I multiply, so that gives me 6. What's different is instead of subtracting, I now add. And the reason I can add is because I've already changed the sign of the 3. Okay, so by changing that sign, I've kind of flipped the operations around. So now instead of subtracting, I can add, which makes things a little quicker. So there goes the 6. Multiply, add. Multiply, add. So notice what we get here. We get the coefficients of our quotient. Now, what's the degree of the quotient? Well, the degree is going to be 1 less than the dividend because we've only divided by x to the first. So if I start with an x cubed, my quotient is x squared. If I start with x to the 7th, my quotient is x to the 6th. So we know that this is 2x squared plus 6x plus 5. Let's do another quick example. So in this one, we'll set up our box here. We have 2, -1, a 0 for the x term, and then a 3, and I put a 5 outside. Bring down the first, multiply, add. Multiply, add. Multiply, what is that? 25, 225, add. So, started with an x cubed, that means we have x squared as our quotient. So it's 2x squared plus 9x plus 45, and 228 was the remainder, which we will write over the original divisor. Some things to keep in mind when dealing with synthetic division. First of all, if it's x minus a, then you use positive a on the outside. If it's x plus a, you use negative a on the outside. Placeholders are very, very important because we have taken out all the variables. So we can't keep degrees straight. So we can't add up like terms and make sure that they're lined up for our subtraction. So placeholders are really, really important. And then remember that it only works when we're dividing by things like x plus c or x minus c. Okay, we can't do it for 2x plus 5, right? Can't do it. Can't do it for x squared plus 1. Those cannot be divisors. So let's just do one last example. See if you kind of get this. Feel free to pause the video if you'd like and try it on your own, but we're just going to keep moving through here. So inside the box go the coefficients. So 1, 5, negative 12, 0 for the x squared, minus 32, 16. And then throw a negative 2 out front. Bring down the first one. Now multiply. Add. Multiply. Add. Multiply. Add. Multiply. Holy cow, this got big. 182. Nope, 192. So now we add those up and we get negative 224. Did I make a mistake here somewhere? Oh, big mistake. I didn't think it should have gotten that big. So negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. So now it's negative 18. Positive 36. Add them up. Negative 72. So that is negative 104. And then positive 208. But that 16 should be negative. Missed that one too. And what's that give us? 192 as the remainder. So we started with x to the 5th, so we have x to the 4th plus 3x cubed minus 18x squared plus 36x minus 104, and then a remainder of 192 over x plus 2. Thanks for watching.